Hey there, Dan Hafner. Welcome to the show. My name is Dan Hafner. Obviously, that was a really bad intro, but hey, you know what? I'm still getting used to these types of shows. So today, I just wanted to do a very brief. This is going to be a shorter version of the show. Um, I I decided to do this. The title of this is, I'm always dragging my feet. I've seen this time and time again with a lot of people I work with. I see this in my own life. I see this with a lot of people time and time and time again. So it gave me the idea to kind of just lay out some steps for you guys. Some steps, very simple, very easy to follow. Because a lot of us, when it comes to either growing our business or whether it's starting a new business, starting an idea, maybe you do have a software and app idea that you're trying to bring to life. Or maybe you've already got that and now you're just trying to kind of move along, or you feel like you're bumbling along a lot. We always kind of feel, I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we kind of feel like we're being pulled in 9,000 different directions. We have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do the other thing. Then this fire comes up, and then there's just so many different things, right? So I'm going to give 3 very simple steps that I use myself, that I tell people to do when it comes to kind of getting out of this funk of, you feel like you're dragging your feet, you're not making the progress you want to make, especially this time of year when it comes to the end of the year. We tend to already write off the end of the year, and we're focusing on the next year and the next year's goals and the next year's targets and all that stuff. So the very first thing, obviously, is to set goals. That's the very first thing. A lot of times when we're dragging our feet, I think it's also because we don't have that defined place we're going. When you think about going on a hike and you're hiking up a mountain or you're hiking to a trail, there's an end in mind, right? There's a actual summit you're trying to get to. There's a trailhead you're trying to get to. There's something that you're trying to get to, a destination. You're not just plodding around through the woods aimlessly just for something to do. If you're doing that, I mean, we all have hobbies. I'm not judging you or anything. I do that when I go hunting a lot. I just plod around and don't really have a destination in mind. But eventually, you do have a place that you need to get to, right? So if you're finding yourself constantly dragging your feet, you got to reset some goals. I've gone through this recently in my life. I found over the past couple of weeks that I did kind of find myself dragging my feet on a couple of projects I was working on, a couple of things that I just didn't quite have the fire to get to. And then when I really sat back, I realized that I didn't have the goals set. I had lost track or lost vision of those particular goals that I was trying to achieve. And that's why you go off and you do this thing, you go off and you do that thing, instead of being like, no, here's the progression of tasks that I need to do that are going to get me to the goal I'm trying to get to. Okay. So step number 1, just set some goals. The second piece, get aware. And when I say get aware, I mean, be aware of those things that I was just talking about, the things that are tripping you up, the fact that you're not actually moving forward, the common roadblocks or obstacles that you end up falling into. We all kind of have these, right? Whether you get distracted by things, whether it's scrolling, social media, watching TV, doing any kind of recreational things that you might do, you may or may not do, whatever the case might be. We all have those go-to vices. We all have those go-to things that we that tend to distract us. And this can even happen during your workday. Maybe there's constant scrolling you're going through, or checking your emails, or just different things that get you sidetracked. So in step 2 here, getting aware means just be aware of your faults, of your shortcomings, of the things that are holding you back and tripping you up. Because what you can do then is stop doing those things. You can actually be more conscious and be more aware of, like, okay, this is what I keep doing and this is the result I keep seeing from it. So I need to change that thing. There's an action, a behavior that I need to alter, because it's just going, if I don't alter it, it's going to just give me the same thing I've been getting, right? And that's not assuming, if assuming you want something different, it's not what you want, right? So get aware, just be aware. There's a lot of different tools out there. I've talked about a tool on here that for a program that I use and I've been a part of for a very long time. It's called Wake Up Warrior. They have a tool called the Stack, which actually is a series of questions in a progression that really kind of ask you, like, what are you thinking? Why are you feeling this way? What's happening? What's the result? How can you change this line of thought? What result can that bring to you? So you definitely check that out if you ever have a chance. Really, really, really recommend that. Okay, so number one, set goals. Number two, get aware. And then number three, you got to execute. You got to implement a routine, right? I think as entrepreneurs, as people in this space, especially if you run a very small business or you're running alone, it's very easy to fall out of routine. You have to be very, very disciplined in order to keep regular hours or make sure you're getting all the things done. You cut like I said before, we feel like we're running in 9,000 directions, and you have more and more tasks piled upon you day after day, hour after hour, minute by minute. All of these things happen. So having some kind of routine, and I'm not even talking about just inside of working hours. I'm talking about morning routines, nightly routines, even midday routines. I used to be, admittedly, I used to be a lot better at a morning routine. I've actually kind of fallen off, which probably what led to, some of the drifting and the dragging of my feet in recent times for myself. But I'm very faithful with, I get up, I take my dog for a walk. Very first thing we get up, he knows it's time. We put the leash on, we go, right? Listen to some kind of podcast, listen to something. We get back and have a cup of coffee, do my stacks, do a little bit of extra workouts, anything like that, help my wife get ready for the day, all those types of things. Like I have it's not as structured as it used to be, but it's a structured routine. And what that does, there's really science into that. And I won't get into that. There's other people who are more expert in that and can talk more deeply and intelligently about this. But there is power in routines. There's power in predictability. There's power in knowing, like, hey, this is what I'm going to get up and I'm going to do. We tend to be, at least I tend to be, I know, a creature of security, a creature of predictability, a creature of seeking comfort. And that's really interesting when you get into this game of, okay, I'm dragging my feet. I need to set a new goal. I need to be aware of what's blocking me so I can actually tackle that thing. And then I also need to redo my routines, redo the things that I'm focusing on, because I want that different result. That means I have to have different behavior. I have to have different actions. I have to have different thought processes that go into things, because those are going to lead to a new outcome and a new result, right? So just to recap, dragging your feet, right? Number one, set new goals. Number two, get aware of the roadblocks you face, the bad habits you have, the tendencies you have that draw you away from the result that you want. And number three, implement a routine. Find a way, and you can even use things like productivity tools. I use a really cool software called Basic Ops, which is really, really awesome. It's a little bit like an Asana or a Trello. Use any kind of tool that you feel comfortable with to help you with your daily tracking, with your task tracking, like anything. It doesn't matter. There's millions of tools out there to use. Recommend you can use a pad and paper. Like, it doesn't matter what you use, just use something. Don't rely on your brain, don't rely on your memory, especially if you're in this world with us. Like, you have 9 million things to do and it's just always going sideways, and you can never rely on your brain. Every time I do that, I forget stuff and I get in trouble. Okay, so appreciate you joining this short video today. Happy Thanksgiving to any of you watching this before the Thanksgiving holiday. Appreciate you being a part of the show. As always, if you enjoy the show, please review, recommend, leave a rating. Always helps in the search results and in the algorithms that be out there on the platforms that we are on. So if you're on YouTube, please, like and subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, please review and give a 5-star rating. If you think we warrant a 5-star rating, that is, because that really, really helps the visibility and the reach of the show for more people like you and me. All right, everyone. Appreciate all of you. Have a good holiday coming up, and I will see you in the next video.